everybody. How are you? I am off camera today because I am not in the mood to be on camera. So thanks a lot for being here. Yeah, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday, right? So I was catching up on some news, and today I found out that apparently Blake Lively, after she and her husband initiated a giant lawsuit against the director of that It Ends With Us movie, Blake Lively, I think, is very irritated that Justin Baldoni did not roll over and play dead for her, because apparently she is refusing to be deposed by Justin Baldoni's lawyer. She doesn't want to be deposed by that lawyer. She wants to be deposed by another lawyer. Well, Blake, I'm sorry, but it doesn't fucking work that way. You fired the first shot. You were the one who came out of the gate and tried to ruin this man's life. Apparently, Justin Baldoni had a number of projects in the pipeline that are now dead in the water. And you have cost him a lot of money. You have tried to smear his reputation. You have tried to destroy him for absolutely no fucking reason. And now you have the unbelievable fucking nerve to forget that you were the one who fired the first shot, and you don't want to sit down with his lawyer. It doesn't work that way, madam. Not even for you. So, we've got some ground to cover today. I know, right, Nietzsche? I discovered a Vosch video that's short enough that we can suffer our way through it. So we will be taking a look at that. But first, we are going to be talking about the Baxter. You know, I had been avoiding talking or, featuring her content on my channel because her content is awful. But we've now gotten to a point that is so ridiculous that I thought, you know what? If people are talking about Becky, then why shouldn't I talk about Becky too? She's an absolute crashing bore. She is ridiculous. And honestly, I am amazed that she continues to be able to make money off of a fake relationship that both of them, both she and Amber, have admitted was dead in the water from the very beginning. I think that we all know that Amber Lynn basically hooked up with Becky because she was desperate. Not that's why she picked Becky, but because she had nowhere to live. Her feelings were hurt because Destiny dumped her. She needed a place to live. She wanted to have a girlfriend, quote unquote. And that there was never any real feeling of romance or passion between the two of them. Again, their words, all right? Their words. There was never a spark there. Amber Lynn needed a caretaker, and Becky, I don't know what Becky needed. I guess that in the beginning she thought, oh, everybody's being so mean to Amber, and I'm going to show her that I can be a good friend to her or whatever. And then it got completely out of hand. So anyway, I know that if I created a channel and I uploaded a bunch of content that nobody was interested in, and then I decided that I was going to exploit the massive hate mob surrounding an ex-partner of mine, that people would wonder about me. They would have some questions. If I was sitting on my channel talking about a relationship that I was involved in 4 years ago, and that became the bulk of my content, people would wonder, A, whether or not I have anything going on in my current life, especially considering that Becky is in a new relationship. But she keeps on going back to that Amber Lynn well. Every time she has a car accident, every time her car breaks down, she has a lot of car problems, I notice. Not a very good driver. Anytime she needs money, she returns to that Amber Lynn hate audience well, and idiots in the community give her money because reasons. She doesn't deserve a dime of it, by the way. She doesn't deserve a dime of it. She's old enough to have a job. She's old enough to be able to manage her finances. And she apparently can't, even though she also has this girlfriend. Between the two of them, they can't scrape the money together to keep that car running or to trade it in for another one. And people have said, well, why doesn't she take public transportation? She lives in the middle of fucking nowhere in Kentucky. There is no public transportation out where she is. Just like here in this town, there's no public transportation here. So if your car breaks down, you're screwed. Because there's no metro, there are no, buses, there's nothing like that. There are no sidewalks in a lot of Connersville, so it's even dangerous to try to walk from point A to point B. And the distances are very wide apart. So, hey, Marcianus. But this constant grifting and returning to the well of, oh, did you know that Amberlynn and I were together for however many years? And yeah, the whole relationship was fake. And yeah, we pretended to be in a relationship. But, I deserve your money because reasons. All right. It just bothers me. It bothers me. You notice that Jade strolled off into the sunset, didn't say a word. She's never been seen from again. And that's a blessing. Because Jade has, self-respect and dignity. All right, so let's, but Jade also had a career. All right, let's take a look at this one. This is the Tom Harlock reaction. And I'm going to speed her up because she is absolutely unbearable. Oop, that's not what I wanted. Let's see. All right, so let's go.
Hey guys, thanks for coming back for another video. This time I want to talk about plans I have for future videos. I got so many more people interested in the Appalachian folklore and ghost hunting stuff, and I can't wait to get into all of that with you all. Right now, though, it's currently single digits outside and everything is frozen. So ghost hunting is going to have to wait until it warms up a bit because it's really cold out there. But
and in her newest video, I was interested to see that apparently she took a trip to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, which is the Mothman town. Those of you who were with me when I had my old channel know that I, too, went to Point Pleasant, West Virginia. This was in 2020. When I was on my way back from Kentucky, I made a detour through Point Pleasant. It was going to be part of my Halloween coverage. And Point Pleasant, West Virginia is a very, very depressing little town. It reminded me a lot of Matewan. Tiny little place. Their sole industry is the Mothman. And she said, oh, I went to the Mothman Museum. The Mothman Museum is shit. Don't even bother. I'm sure that when there's the Mothman Festival and people get dressed up and show up, for that, that's one thing. If you just go, on a regular basis, like on a regular day that's not, Mothman-centric like the festival, there's nothing to do except the shitty Mothman Museum, which is a total ripoff, and I would advise you to avoid it, and going to the souvenir shops that are all based on Mothman, Bigfoot, etc. And I was talking to the proprietor of one of those stores who told me that if not for the Mothman, the town would be dead. There is no industry there. There's no business. There's no work. There's no nothing. So the town really needs Mothman to survive. And it's very, very sad, but it's really not worth a visit unless you're a super fan and you want to go for the festival. But let's continue.
I've got my ghost box, and when I can, I'd love to try out the Estes method at a haunted location. But I've already started some research for the folklore and cryptids, so when I get that script done, I'll definitely be interested to see what you guys think. I'm going to also be setting up a Google form where you guys can submit things you want me to draw, and I'll pick from them. This way, the drawings in my videos can be interactive for everybody, and you can add your name or username to your message to get a shout out if your suggestion gets picked. Now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the video. I decided I wanted to do a reaction next. It was the most asked for type of content right now, and I know a lot of you
I'm
suggested
sure.
reacting to Amber's videos. I didn't know where to start with that. There's way too many, and I wasn't really sure how much I wanted to say on certain ones, and others might be a little harder to watch. But I want those of you who were concerned for me to know I am coming from a more healed place when it comes to her as a person. The mental abuse took its toll, and still emotionally, I have a lot of work to do. But with some things, I can look back and actually laugh at the ridiculousness of it all.
Okay, if I went through a relationship with all that mental abuse, I would not want to return to that time. I know she laughs and says, oh, I can look back at the ridiculousness. No, Becky, what you're doing is you are exploiting a fake relationship that you were involved in for a few years, 4 years ago, and you're exploiting it to make money. Why can't we all be honest here? Why can't we be forthcoming? That's what you're doing. I don't know what Becky does for a living. I have no idea, but she said apparently it's something she's very passionate about. Okay. We knew that Becky wasn't going to make it as an artist. I don't know how much of what she draws is freehand and how much of it is traced. I don't know if she'd even be able to sell a lot of her art because the art that she draws is copyrighted. So she can't go on and sell, Naruto or whatever those other comic book or anime drawings she does. I don't think she can sell them privately. She could. She probably wouldn't get caught. It's just a bad idea. Judy Booty, hello, dear. How are you? It's good to see you. Let's continue.
One of these things was the Tom Harlock video from a few years ago. I know he made a video about her originally, and I don't think I ever watched the whole thing. But I remember that Amber reacted to it on a live stream, and when looking for videos to react to, I found...
I'm sure that you saw, Judy Booty, that the Beebus father is being released, but the wife and the 2 babies are still unaccounted for. That's a whole other topic, but since you're here, I thought that I would mention it.
Found that he reacted to her reaction to his video. This might be too meta, too many layers of video, but I thought it would be funny and lighthearted, so I guess we'll start there. So let's get into my reaction.
Alright lads, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Tom Harlock and I do not have an intro, but I have got a point. I am a legend, I am an icon, and I am the moment.
That's true. Rest in peace, Vine.
A copy of my video fell into Amber Lynn's generous lap. During a live stream on her YouTube channel, it was requested of Amber Lynn to react to my video about her, and she did just that, after pretending to not know who I am. And I'm not one to pass up an opportunity to get meta, baby.
Actually, she totally knew who Tom Harlock was. She had to have.
Of course she knew.
Because I know her. She knew everything about the internet, so she definitely knew who he was.
Let's go.
So who's this Tom person? Because if they're boring, I'm not doing it. That's 45 minutes long. I'm not in it to win it.
You complain about a 40-minute long video when you upload a 3-hour live stream. Shut up.
I'm sitting here wondering, how did she even make a 3-hour long live stream? Like, I don't know. I couldn't handle it.
I'm glad that you changed the subject, Rachel, because I did want to bring this up. So you saw that that Carla took down the Twitter account. I find it incredible that when award season started, that they didn't go through her Twitter account and tell her to private it or start strategically deleting certain tweets that she had sent out years ago. But she is in a world of hurt. It's surprising that she didn't think that this was going to come back to bite her in the ass, but, oh well.
If this is boring, I'm not doing it.
Okay, well,
and if it's rude and annoying, I'm not doing it.
Rude.
That's actually her. That's just how she was about people. She, like, if it's rude or boring or anything like that, I'm not even going to bother. And if there was one tiny little negative thing, it was boring. So, and I mean, it's just like, if she didn't know anything about Tom, then why is she already assuming that? I don't know. I just feel like that was kind of rude. But what do we expect here?
Put your tongue in your...
Yummo. Reacting to some boring person, I feel like. I don't know, his name was like Tom.
The audacity to call me boring.
I'm probably not going to really watch that much of it.
Watch the whole thing. I make points. Becky, Becky, Becky. I love Becky. Becky is the...
We love you too, Tom. Tom's the moment.
Can I just say that one of the things that's been really galling is that, hey, Mindy, one of the things that's been super galling about this entire sad episode is this these reactors pretending that Becky is some kind of a star, that Becky is, that Becky is like someone that they ever had any respect for or admired, because I was around back then and I remember that the overall impression of Becky was not favorable. But you fast forward a few years, they break up, Becky decides that she's going to start a YouTube channel, and all of a sudden people are like, oh my God, poor Becky, what a victim. Oh, Becky, we all need to support her. Why are we supporting her? What has she offered? I mean, the greatest thing that Jade offered was her silence, her dignity, getting away from this whole fucking shit show and managing to get back to a regular life, not monetizing her relationship with Amber Lynn, not dropping DMs, not starting a YouTube channel, not talking to the reaction channels. The whole thing has been a goddamn mess. A goddamn mess. And this is more than I can say. Well, Crystal was also one who decided that she was just going to be private and have her girlfriend and not talk and not make a big spectacle out of herself. Casey, Destiny, now Tommy, all of them are now like, I've got to get my side of the story out. Just go back to your regular life. Do whatever it was that you were doing before and stop feeding these fucking channels, because it's not going to end well. If you really were that traumatized by your experience with Amber, just fucking back away and get back to your normal life. It's just absolutely gross.
What we're talking about? Oh, yeah, that big lass. All right, that's what.
Oh, yeah, that big lass. Okay,
Hello,
so
Lucille.
We already have a fat joke.
Actually, no, I'm going to let you finish. Actually, no, I'm not. Big lass. Find the lie. What am I going to say? Oh, yeah, who am I talking about? Petite marriage.
Tom Harlock? I know who he is. You know who Tom Harlock is?
That's absurd, Sarah Lynn.
Becky.
He's a hater!
I'm not a hater. I'm a concerned citizen. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Becky used to be a fan. Oh my God.
Used to be a fan.
Remember when Becky was still around in that fake relationship and people were like, oh my God, Becky is so racist. Oh my God, Becky is so stupid. Oh my God, Becky is this, this, and this. And now all of a sudden, she's a heroine. She's the ultimate victim. It is absolutely, totally fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I find it hilarious that even the people who are around now who claim that they know all of her lore, people like Mr. Snowflake, what a fraud he is. What an absolute phony he is. He knows goddamn well all the controversy that surrounded Becky. Was all of it fair? No. I'm just saying that the opinion of Becky back then was not entirely favorable. All right? Let's be perfectly honest about that. So it's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Since when was Becky not a fan?
See, she had already decided right then and there. She's like, you used to be. You are no longer a fan. And yeah,
exactly.
That was exactly why I had to renounce my love for Tom Harlock. And I mean, there you have it. Sorry, Tom.
I didn't hear that come out of her mouth. Stop putting words in her mouth.
When they know that my name gets some views, it's so cute. Okay, let's go.
In what world do you get me views?
Actually, she would also do that too. She would be like, only people who put my name in their videos, that's how they're getting views. And I'm like, okay, well, what about the videos that they don't use your name and they still get the views,
It's funny because so far all of the hot tea that she has spilled has involved what? Amber Lynn is a liar. Thanks. We all knew that. We were well aware that Amber Lynn is a liar. Oh, Amber Lynn has a huge ego. Thanks. Yes, we all know that. Yeah, Amber Lynn, I guess she's going to talk about how Amber Lynn couldn't do anything on her own. I mean, she offered up some details in this latest video where she put up Karina Kaboom's video for a while and didn't say a word for long periods of time. And, oh, yeah, well, I had to take care of her and I had to do this, that, and the other. We know that, Becky. We know that. If you're just going to come on and you're going to tell people what we could see with our own two eyes, what is the point of this? You're trying to make money. Good for you. I get it. It's better that you make money on your channel with this horse shit than going on other people's channels and making money for them. I understand that. But again, it is so cringy and undignified to come online and talk about a fake relationship that ended years ago. It is utterly ridiculous.
Your YouTube has started as well recently, with channels such as Obese to Beast, inspiring a new wave of vloggers to pick up the camera.
She is so irate right now. I see that look in her eye. She's ready to freaking pop.
Amber Lynn first came on my radar around a month ago, right?
I do want to say, I don't judge people. You're unsubscribing?
Becky's unsubscribing. No, you're not. You're just saying that to please Amber so she gives you an allowance.
Yes, Pecan.
Listen, I knew if I didn't say something like that, I would hear so much about it later on, and I was just saving myself an argument. That's the truth.
Yeah. Stop pausing every 2 seconds. I'll pause every 1 second.
I'll pause every half.
I'll pause every millisecond.
And by the way, in case anybody is out there and they're not listening to what I'm saying and they're trying to put words in my mouth, I can imagine that living with Amber Lynn would be an absolute goddamn nightmare. I cannot imagine living with somebody who is that young, who is that incapable of taking care of themselves, whether physically, hygiene, mentally, living in a house. And I said this back when I had my old channel and I was reacting to her. I can't imagine what a nightmare it would be to live in a house where I had a roommate that constantly had a camera out, filmed everything that went on in that house, edited it together, uploaded it every single goddamn day, invaded my privacy nonstop, revealed private information about me all the time. And this goes for Eric and Ricky too. Filming them and all that shit. Because you could tell back then, you could tell that Ricky was over it. Ricky was the only sensible person living in that house. Because remember that Eric went off on his own and he decided that he was going to jump in on the grift. And just living in a house that was like a fucking Big Brother house where nobody could have peace and quiet and tranquility at any time. And also Ricky was the only one who was working outside the house in a profession that was not exactly pleasant. He would work at the chicken factory. He would come home. He would deal with all this horse shit. And yeah, Ricky was the one who had a real job outside the house. And my understanding is that now Ricky and Eric are divorced. I'm not terribly surprised to hear that. And I am sorry that Ricky, Eric, and Becky's friendship appears to have imploded, unless they're keeping it strictly offline. But it looks like they all kind of fell out. And if I were Eric and Ricky and I had this house and Becky brought this unbearable YouTuber who was constantly making everything about herself and lording herself over everyone else because she paid more rent than the others, because she took up more room. And that is not a fat joke, okay? She had that massive hoard that took up that carport that had been turned into an extra room. Very demanding. God only knows what kind of tantrums and meltdowns were going on off camera. And, I would feel a certain type of way about it. Absolutely. I would not be happy about it. So I'm not saying this to defend Amber Lynn, because I can imagine that it must have been a nightmare to share a house with her. It must have been hell on earth to deal with that woman day in and day out for all the years that they lived in that tiny little town in Kentucky, whose name I can't even remember. Then on top of that, you've got weirdos like Roger Brown, who are creating channels to go to all these locations where Amber Lynn visits, and you've got these hate mobs coming after you, and you've got these weirdo viewers, and you've got all this drama and all this bullshit going on with all of Amber Lynn's health problems. So I am not saying for a second that it was easy to live with Amber Lynn. Because like I said, living with Amber Lynn must have been an absolute fucking nightmare 24 hours a day.
But I really hope that there's somebody out there who literally has made an entire compilation of just words she has mispronounced, because that was most of our relationship, was me correcting her vocabulary.
Yeah,
and
okay,
I'm
Becky.
not the type of person to do that, but whenever it happens so often, I just had to.
Who talked bad and ate badder. So I felt kind of mean making so many jokes.
As sad as it is, that's literally me. I talk bad and I eat batter. I mean, that's literally the moral of the story. I know batter.
Exactly,
I'm just
Pecan.
saying it because he did.
I guess it is. Batter is a word. All right.
I'm sure he didn't get hate for it. I would have.
That's the joke. I talk bad and ate badder. You heard the accent there. I'm taking the piss out of you, love, and you know that, or you're too dense to realise. Either way.
She's too dense to realize.
People create these other stories to my life, and I really feel like that's the reason why I have so much viewing.
Donata, darling, Donata.
So it's almost like I should be saying thank you to the hater nation, you know?
I mean, I guess that my point is that the only likable person in that house was Ricky. I thought Ricky was adorable. And of course, Ricky, you know, people tried to come after him and call him a racist as well. But Ricky was the only normal person in that house. And that's normal by my definition of what constitutes normal. But he had a great personality. He was really, really cute. And he was a lot of fun. Yes, Breeze, Ricky was fun. Ricky was a lot of fun. And I felt sorry for him getting dragged into that horse shit. But again, people have a very selective memory when it comes to what went on when Becky and Amber Lynn were in their little fake relationship. Now they're like, oh, Becky, you know, we always liked her. No, you fucking didn't. You couldn't stand her. This is what's galling about it. You never liked her. Never. And we all know that Ricky was the star of the show. Come on.
You should be saying...
She should, because I feel like that's what's gotten her the most money, and I think that she knows that. So I feel like, in a way, she revels in any attention that she gets.
Well, obviously.
Whether it's good or bad, she eats it up.
Yeah.
Thank you to the hater nation. Truly, I'm not a part of it, but you should be saying thank you, because if it wasn't for all these reaction channels talking about you, no one would give a shit.
Her head just exploded. Her ego literally just shot through the freaking roof and went to the freaking moon.
Okay, Becky.
I'm not kidding you. I can just see it all over her face right now.
Sounds like like hundreds of thousands of subscribers.
Who's that? I've never seen that before.
She definitely knew who Zach was. Her and Zach were on again, off again friends for a little while. Actually, I wouldn't say friends. I think she thought that they were more friends than they actually were.
She was being sarcastic, Becky. I think that we all know that she was pulling everybody's leg. Of course, she fucking knew who Zach was. Again, we are getting no insight. We are getting nothing new. We are not learning anything. She did this to make money. God bless her. But as far as getting any like behind the scenes tea, this is a complete waste of fucking time.
There's another fat shaming thing.
How is it a fat shaming thing when you're sat there eating a rotisserie chicken and I say you're eating a rotisserie chicken? I'm putting fat.
I'm just saying, what is the ridiculousness of just sitting down and tearing into a whole chicken? Like, what is that?
It's called, Becky, it's called doing something extreme on camera to get views, because even all those hate views add up, and cha-ching. You know what it is. You know what it is. Why are you playing dumb? Why are you acting stupid when you know exactly why she went on camera, showed that whole chicken, and proceeded to pick at it? Come on now.
Who does? I get it. I've seen like a few mukbangs that were just really crazy. People eating just like massive table loads of food. But I don't know. I just feel like if you're going to have a mukbang with a rotisserie chicken, you should at least just cut it up into some portions, you know?
No, that's not how mukbangs work, Becky. Come on now. Again, acting brand new. The whole point of the mukbang is to eat as extremely as possible. You're not sitting down at a nice restaurant with a tablecloth and napkins and a knife and a fork. All right, you know how the shit works. Again, stop acting brand new. I'm embarrassed for you.
Maybe. Not just sit there and eat it with your fingers. And I remember how everybody was like, she ate the whole chicken. She ate almost the whole chicken. I assumed because she knew it would get views.
I'd be rude, I'd be a bitch, I'd be et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, Becky, because it gets views. Because it gets views. That is why people go on YouTube. Maybe you haven't figured out the formula yet. People go on YouTube to get views and to make money when they can, if their channel is monetized. That's why people go on YouTube. Nobody goes on YouTube and says, gee, I'm going to upload a video or I'm going to do a live stream and I really hope nobody watches it. Okay? That's not how it works for anyone.
You are rude and you are a bitch because you do say stuff like that to your significant others.
About this rotisserie chicken, I love
Yes, Tom. Yes, absolutely. She can dish it, but she can't take it. That's how she's always been. Just be like very sly things that even I...
Well, she's not alone in that. A lot of people in girl world are the same. They can dish it out for days, literally, but they can't take it.
Catch in the moment. After the breakup, I watched things back that, opened my eyes. She would be rude to other people all the time, and she would think that it would be sly and that people wouldn't catch on to it, but they would, and they would either confront her about it or they would confront me about it. And
I don't understand. So you're watching things back that opened your eyes. Weren't you present at the time? Weren't you in the house? Why would looking back on that behavior open your eyes now when you know Amber Lynn in a way that nobody else does? None of these reactors do, because you lived with her. You were with her 24 hours a day. Come on now. Let's go. And you know what? Let me say this. I totally agree with you. I totally agree that Amber Lynn is a horrible partner, or at least she was back then. I don't know what happened between her and Tommy. I don't know what happened between her and Jade, although I imagine that what happened with Jade was bad, and Jade said that's enough, and she decided, fuck you, I'm getting out. All right. And Jade is the only ex of Amber Lynn's that I respect, because she got out, she vanished, she went back to her normal life. Nobody tormented her. None of this drama, no corresponding with these channels, no DM drops, no YouTube channel, no nothing. She was like, fuck this. I can't take it anymore. This is not what I signed up for. I had no idea of what I was getting into. I thought that I could change her. Evidently, she's too hard-headed. She's too stuck in her ways. I can't live this way. I cannot be a nurse to a woman who refuses to change. We're never going to travel together. We're never going to do anything together. All we do is sit in this apartment all day or go out shopping, and this is not for me. And she left, and I respect that. I respect that. Jade was a normal person, and that's cool. Yeah. Absolutely, Amber Lynn mistreated Becky, and in fairness to Becky, because I don't want to sit here and be, that person, okay? But anybody who has been in a relationship with someone who is extremely controlling could see the signs with those two. All right, they could see the signs. Amber Lynn doesn't know how to drive. Amber Lynn can't take care of herself. Amber Lynn has no interests outside of YouTube and shopping. And so, really, and there was nothing to do in that town. There was nothing to do in that tiny little town except for go to Walmart, which is why they went to Walmart every day, pretty much, or went out to eat. They had no other hobbies, no pursuits, no nothing. That one trip that they took to Lexington, they sat in the hotel room all day. Same thing when they went to Pride. They sat in the hotel room all day, and there were a million excuses for why they didn't get out and about and go and do fun stuff. Although when they played that mini golf, whatever, but that was a very, very rare occurrence. So, yeah, I mean, it must have sucked to be in a relationship with her. And you have to wonder, why did Becky stay in it for as long as she did? And I know that Becky is very weak-minded and very easily pushed around and told what to do. But you do have to ask yourself, the mother was sick. Why didn't she just get in the fucking car and go and see her mother? Yeah, Amber Lynn was housebound. Absolutely. Yeah, and this is absolutely true. Everybody had anxiety. Everybody had mental problems. Everybody had issues. Everyone had this, that, and the other thing. And no wonder Ricky got fed up and walked out. I don't blame him.
Want me to talk to her about it, or would basically just be like, don't say anything because I know it's going to be an argument.
I did this for views, for clickbait.
Oh, you did it for views, did you, love? Thank God you finally admitted something. Well done. Look.
Yes, I'm so glad she admitted it, because that was definitely one thing that happened a lot behind the scenes. Lots of clickbait, thumbnails, things that she was like,
we know, Becky.
I don't care if it's completely true or that I'm even going to mention it in the video. I just want people to click on the video. So
we know, Becky.
I always felt like that was really misleading, but whatever.
Wow, she first uploaded a video titled No.
You know what's ironic, Becky? You know who else does that? You know who does the thumbnails and who else puts up provocative titles and clickbaits nonstop? Your buddy Karina Kaboom. She is the biggest clickbaiter in the community. She is a mess. But she's on your side. So when she does it, it's okay. But when somebody else does it, it's a problem.
What was that look? That look right there. I know that look. And that's I'm freaking killing you.
Oh,
Like,
we know
I've
that
seen
look too.
So many times.
This woman does not understand that people do not like her because of her personality.
That's for sure. She doesn't really grasp the fact that she's not a good person. She really has herself fooled.
I have learned nothing
she
so
really
far.
thinks that she is very empathetic.
I went 1.5 tiles.
Congratulations, Amber Lynn, 2013. You impressed.
You know what I've noticed? That the most narcissistic and self-centered and egotistical people will come on this platform and loudly proclaim that they're an empath. This is consistent. I've seen it over and over again. Amber Lynn is not the only one, trust me.
See, people were actually really rooting for her at one point. And even it seemed like he genuinely was. And it's just, she became a train wreck. And I feel like she felt it was more important to be a train wreck for views. I mean, she knows if she loses weight, she's going to lose those views.
Why are you opening your hand? What are you waiting for? A rotisserie chicken? Anytime you hear anything negative about you, or you cherry pick. You cherry pick sentences.
I don't agree with that. I know that that's a theory that's been tossed around a lot in the Amberverse for years and years and years. Oh, if she loses weight, she'll lose views. Did Nikocado Avocado lose views? Did Nikocado Avocado lose views when he came back and he was a skinny mini and he unveiled himself and now he's getting plastic surgery and all that? No, I think that she just can't. I think that she and Chantal are in the same boat. I think they're too heavily addicted. I think they're too far gone. And I think that they don't want to put in the effort to lose the weight. I mean, Amber Lynn is eating her way through Ozempic. I think that once you get to that point, it's strictly a mental thing, obviously. It's a mental thing. We've known this for years. So, come on now. It's not just the views. I think that if Amber Lynn were to disappear for 6 months and came back and went ta-da and had lost a ton of weight, her views would go through the fucking roof. So, no, I totally disagree.
Not even that. I'm not even going to give you
She actually would do that in real life, too.
visiting her girlfriend Crystal after the breakdown of the previous week. Crystal should not be like that.
Yeah, that was a sore subject for her. The reason it was a sore subject for her because, they
exactly,
had fallen out,
Lucille.
and she couldn't grasp her head around the fact that she just, she was always the common factor in her relationships ending, even friendships, like all the time.
No kidding.
And, when people cut her off, she never seemed to understand why. So Crystal did cut Amber off, and she just, it was just a very touchy subject for her after that. It's just, and you mentioned of Crystal, it wasn't good.
That's when I got the phone call that my grandma said I can't live with her anymore.
Because you're an absolute nightmare of a woman.
Yeah. Her grandma didn't want her living there because, everybody knows how hard Amber is to live with. And, her and her grandma just didn't get along. They had a fight before Amber left. And, yeah, her grandma was like, you can't move back. Which her grandma, kind of was a mess herself. But, that's a whole different story. It's not for me to speak on. But,
Well, there's another thing, too, Gata. Nikocado has 1,000,000 times more money than Amber Lynn. Nikocado has made a lot of money on the platform. A lot of money. And speaking of Nikocado, have we seen Orlin? Did Orlin also have weight loss surgery and lose a lot of weight, or is Orlin still heavy? I don't know. I don't know anything about what's happening with him and Orlin, but I'm just curious to know. I hope he did. I hope he did lose the weight after that stunt.
You know how families can be.
He needs to like have his facts right.
I would like to take this moment to sincerely...
I feel like the only fact he got wrong was the states. She's just finding things to nitpick and get mad about.
With what money were you buying your own food? The money that Crystal's parents gave you?
But they would give.
You know what, Pecan? I'm really glad you brought that up because that's something that I've sort of picked up in the ether. You are absolutely correct. And this Rosie business is so fucking cringe. I can't even discuss it. It's so embarrassing that people are encouraging Rosie to go for Tommy. Didn't Rosie say that Tommy was a murderer? Didn't Rosie jump on that bandwagon too? I don't watch Rosie, unless it's through a third party. I have no interest in her content or anything she has to say. But it's really, really fucking embarrassing. And I hope that Tommy doesn't take the bait. I hope Tommy just disappears, pulls a Jade, stops DMing with people for fuck's sake, and just goes on to live her life.
Give us the money. Yes!
Yeah.
So you're not happy now? Becky, if you're watching this, I know you are because you're a massive fan.
Listen, she would talk about all the time how she just wasn't actually really happy. Like, in my Eric and Ricky's home, like, she's like, this is not my home, and I don't feel welcome here, and I don't feel at home, and, yeah.
62.
She is literally 2 seconds from quitting this entire thing. She doesn't make it much further, I can tell.
Dear villain, and you want it so bad that it eats you up inside.
What is happening? Is this a letter to herself that she's reading on camera? Yeah, I mean, and it's cringy for her to be saying that it's cringy because it is true. That was when she was more genuine and like whatever. Now it's just a totally different person. Like you could tell she was just a kid. She was softly spoken. She was shyer. And then now it's just a totally different person.
Oh God,
like,
not another one,
what
Pecan.
happened? Like, there was some kind of corruption somewhere. I really do feel like it was the money and the attention, the views. Like I think it was the limelight, the sort of fame that she was getting.
We
from
know,
it. I think
Becky.
that's what
we know.
Contributed to the entire train wreck and why it keeps getting worse and why it will not get better is because it brings in money.
I'm so curious as to what part of this video she decided to...
Well, yeah, Becky, no fucking kidding. Amber Lynn is not qualified to do anything else. She's too heavy to get a job where she stands on her feet all day. She has grown accustomed to making a lot of money for very, very little work. Okay? She's in a unique position. She's uneducated. She has no job skills. The only thing she knows how to do is go online and make people angry, and that's how she makes money. So, yeah, that is her brand. We all know this.
Too much. She can't even look at herself. She can't look at herself when she's speaking on screen, and that speaks absolute volumes. Also, you telling me that Becky, Amber Lynn, Ricky,
Hey, Carrie
everyone in that household has watched this video? Liars. Absolute liars. My video's got 1.2 million views, and it mentions her name. It'll be on her homepage. She lives and dies on YouTube.
I don't want to say.
Oh, we didn't. I mean, they totally could have, but I didn't. I wasn't. I didn't watch YouTube like that. I was just a fan of his vines. Like I didn't actually know he had a YouTube. That's why I was so surprised when she was like, "Oh, Tom Harlock reacted to me on YouTube," and I was like, "Wait, I know who that is." And I was thinking he's got a YouTube. That's cool.
Oh, babe, that's sad.
What did I say?
His?
I can't actually remember if I did unsubscribe or if I just told her I unsubscribed.
That is so embarrassing. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being in a relationship with someone and they're like, oh my God, this person made me so mad on YouTube. I know you're a total fan, but you need to unsubscribe from that person. Like, fuck if I would. No, absolutely not. Get over yourself.
There was no hard feelings there. I just did it because I knew that's exactly what she wanted me to do.
Okay, so Becky just said that she's upset because she used to be a fan of him.
I'm going to apologise if you felt a certain type of way. And if you feel like watching this video is going to send you on a downward spiral, then I wouldn't want you to watch it. But if you watch for like 10 more seconds, you would see that I am encouraging, I am disappointed in who you are now, because it's not who you were in the beginning. And that's why people don't fucking like you. It's nothing to do with the fact that you're super morbidly obese. It's due to the fact that you are
A bad person is exactly what it is. And I've told her that in the past. I'm like, dude, it's not your weight. It's because of the kind of stuff you do and say to people.
You know what? I think that this is such a horseshit argument too. Name me one YouTuber that you watch who is exactly the same now as they were when they first started. Everybody changes. Amber Lynn has literally grown up on YouTube. She was a kid when she first started. Very, very young, very shy, very unsure of herself. She had a vision for her channel. Everything went sideways when she went viral. And then she got caught in that rut because she was making too much money to change direction back to being, a weight loss channel or whatever, doing her dancing and the other stuff. Everybody changes on YouTube, and sometimes YouTube changes people. That's just the way it is. That's the way it is. People change their content, they change their appearance, they change who they are in some cases because they get so angry and so fed up with, being targeted, or they're desperately trying to get views and they get more and more extreme. I mean, everybody changes. Everybody changes. So.
The audacity to say that I only have views because of you, no, you're absolutely wrong. The only reason you have views is because you stuff your face on camera and you emotionally manipulate your audience. Let's get that fact right. Number 3.
And if anything, him reacting to her brought her more views. Because there's people who watch him who's probably like, who is this person? And then go look.
Did I want her to react to my video? No, I wasn't asking for it. I wasn't begging for it. I wanted her to watch my video in her own free time. I know she got...
And maybe hoping something would sink in, but, that's not going to happen. So Amber got around about 9 minutes into the video, so I am going to watch the rest of Tom's video because I feel like he had a whole lot more to say, and I'm interested in what he was trying to say.
Okay, you do that.
I am literally just tired of it.
They have been broken up for like 4 years, Anna. 4 years. 4 years. Which is why all of this is very cringe. I mean, again, this is the only content people care about that Becky produces. Nobody cares about her drawing. Nobody cares about her vlogs. Nobody cares about being shown around Kentucky or whatever it was that she was trying to do. Nobody watches that content. Nobody. All anybody wants to hear about is tea about Amber Lynn, and, that's all people care about. And she just reveals a couple of little things, and all of a sudden people are like, oh my God, Becky, I'm so sorry that you drove your car into a ditch again. Oh my God, Becky, I'm so sorry that you need your car repaired. Let me send you money. It is pathetic. It is so embarrassing.
You guys.
She would say that so many times. I'm done. I'm leaving YouTube. I'm never going back. And then she would for like a few hours or a day or so, and then she'd just be right back on there.
Despite the breakup, Amber Lynn and Crystal remained friendly. In fact, she stayed in that house, in that same bed with Crystal for months after.
I don't think so. I don't think it was 2019. No, it wasn't 2019 because I'm pretty sure that she was diagnosed with cancer during lockdown, wasn't she? And they were still in that old house. I think it was like 2021, maybe, that they broke up. It was years ago. It was long enough ago that this kind of content is just fucking embarrassing.
Amber admitted to me that she had done the same thing with Destiny. And then I even saw it with myself when we broke up. She would try to cling as hard as she could to a person even after the relationship was over. So, she would be like, I don't want to sleep alone. I'm scared. Can you still sleep in the same bed with me?
As a matter of fact, I do remember that during lockdown, they were still in the old house because she was spurging about COVID. So I do remember that.
She would guilt trip. So, she would also be like, well, I need you to do things for me. I can't do these things on my own, especially like, going places and shopping and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I felt like it was the same thing from Crystal to Destiny to me, of her trying to hold on even after things had ended.
Destiny was the lucky gal to receive a reply.
One of the people that I happened to message back was Destiny.
Okay, so She said she got hundreds of messages on this app. She told me it was a gaming app that she met Destiny on. So I don't know. Yeah, I think she was just wanting it to sound like she was getting hundreds of messages on a dating app.
I'm sure
when
that's
in fact,
true.
She didn't get any messages and she was only talking to Destiny on the gaming app.
A brief look through the history of their relationships does show that Amber does tend to pick the more passive and simple girlfriend. However, with Destiny, it seemed like Amber found her one true love.
I can definitely agree with that. Amber, I don't know. It was just Destiny was the one. That was the one that got away.
We know,
I feel like
Becky.
she'll always believe that too, and I think everybody on the internet is also aware of that.
We know that, Becky.
If you're wondering what this mess is,
That was something else that she would do if there was anything unpleasant at all anywhere. It was everybody else's fault but her own. So like if I don't know, I feel like there had been times where I got blamed for things that was actually, her doing, but I can't necessarily pick anything out. I feel like I remember that happening just to make herself look better.
food, as you can see, so I'll show you guys if I eat it all or if I don't.
She'd be really bad about getting stuff and then being like, no, I don't like that.
And
So just wasting it and then going and get another plate.
Weigh-ins and healthy tips were being replaced with videos of binging and
That was something else that really just kind of blew my mind, is how it went from trying to lose weight to crazy mukbangs.
veganism, vegetarianism, my fitness.
Yeah, because she figured out a way to make money and feed her
Yes,
addiction.
this was something that she would do, and it would change almost daily. I never knew what it was going to be from day to day. She just would hop from one thing to another, and I don't know. She made veganism seem like a big thing because she could eat all the Oreos that she wanted. I don't know. That was just a big thing I remember her saying. I was just like, okay.
To provide for them.
Just a little tidbit.
Was that wasabi? Was she shoving wasabi?
My dog Monkey.
Oh, for
is
God's sake.
Obese, but
Now, I had no idea about Monkey, and I also had no idea that she had another overweight dog. I thought it was just Twinkie, and that Twinkie couldn't help that Twinkie was big. But there's a pattern.
Why was Twinkie overweight, though? Why was Twinkie overweight? Both of you were looking after her. And weren't you in charge of letting her out or walking her? So why was Twinkie overweight? Both of you were looking out for that dog, so both of you overfed her. Both of you fed her too much. Both of you gave her too many treats. I'm telling you, come on now. Come on now. And that other dog, the one that belonged to Crystal, that huge fat beagle, yeah, she was living with a family. And the whole family should have been looking out for that beagle because that beagle was monstrously overweight.
I'm tired of people saying that I'm buying love.
Amber definitely did do that. But I think she tried to buy my love, but she knew that buying my love would be cheaper because I guess my self-esteem was so low that I don't know. She would go to grandiose extremes for other people. Like one year she bought Eric a Xbox and a bunch of games for Christmas. And then I know of that one Christmas she had with Destiny, there was like so many presents. I never in my life saw that many presents. And that was just for one person. I remember this one time where we were opening a gift like every day. And she already knew what her gifts were because she'd picked them out. But like I opened one of them and it was just chapstick. And I was like, thanks for the chapstick, but you could have just handed it to me. It felt kind of silly in the moment.
Yeah, that was cringe.
She's not like a girl. She taped on her boobs on purpose, so they'd always think that.
What is this? Is she laughing at the fact that Casey's trans to someone at work? That's awful.
Oh,
This
no.
is garbage.
Oh, fuck terps. Okay, Becky.
Thing that has ever happened was being hers.
I feel like this is completely genuine. Like, obviously, whenever I broke up with her, it was just, she was just angry.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were not in a relationship, Becky. You guys weren't in a relationship. It was so obvious that the two of you were in a fake relationship, that ridiculous engagement that nobody believed for 5 minutes, all right? That stupid ring that was obviously fake, and the 2 rings that she had to have that were both obviously fake. There was no way that you guys could afford rings like that would have been real. I mean, everybody knew that. Everyone knew that it was for show. I am learning absolutely nothing. This is really, really stupid. Yes, I remember that. Yeah, that was during the infamous Vlogmas when Amberlynn got a ton of earrings. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like, how dare I have the audacity? But with Destiny, it was actual, like, pain. I don't know. I can definitely see the difference for sure.
In fact, when Destiny and Dana went on their first date, Amberlynn joined. I wish I was making this up.
I know a lot of you think
That's
I
crazy.
want clothing.
So Amberlynn went on Destiny and Dana's first date?
You knew that, Becky. Stop it. Everybody knew this. Everybody knew that story. You mean to tell me that you had no idea? How did the entire fucking internet know? And you had no idea, and you were with that woman 24 hours a day for years. Come on.
That's weird. Destiny and Dana dropped Amber off at our first date, but they didn't stick around for it. I don't know. That's kind of weird. I wasn't aware. That's a pattern that Amber does. She will stay and cling on to an ex, someone from her past, until she can find somebody else to
We
latch
know,
onto
Becky.
immediately. Because that was one of her things. She was just like, I'm terrified to be alone. Please.
We
please,
know
please,
that, Becky.
And I'm just like, I can't be around you. I gotta leave. I don't want to stay here.
No, it's on your shoulder. It's your other shoulder. Your little one.
This is the most wildest thing I've ever seen. Like, yeah, we had pincher bugs out in that bathroom. It was like a makeshift, used to be a carport, but our landlord, like before we even moved into it, like transformed it into like a den with a bathroom and all that.
Ugh.
So and there was also like a cellar under the house.
We
So,
know,
like, we would
Becky.
get really weird bugs and stuff. But the fact that that was in there, and that's obviously in there, and she would have to edit the video. Why would you leave that in there? I don't know. That blows my mind.
No, it's very, very simple, because she knew that people would focus on it. She knew people would talk about it. She knew people would get angry about it. She knew that it would generate views and that it would generate attention. I mean, come on now. She knows every trick in the book to get people talking, including this past Vlogmas where she was uploading like 5-minute videos that were garbage. She knows that's going to make people angry. And so people go into her comments section and they roast her and they tell her she's a piece of shit, and she ends up making a ton of money. That's how that works.
I was watching a random Roselle and Dick's video, and Amberlynn was in the suggestions, and I'm like, okay, sure. And like the comments were so freaking terrible. I'm like, God, this girl's like,
I remember that, Breeze.
I messaged her and I'm like, you're so pretty and beautiful. And
Find this closed book and you'll get through it.
If I could go back in time and never have sent that message, that would have been great. If only I had a time machine.
Is it not Uber?
Yeah, but aren't you lucky, Becky, that you live in the present where you can monetize all of your trauma? And you can get people to pay for your car repair, and you can get people to give you pity bucks and all of that. Come on. I'm there's like 2 minutes left, and I'm just tapping out of this because it's just such horseshit. All right, we're yeah, what cereal is that? See, we have been around for a long time, Breeze. There are people in this chat who remember, and they know Amberlynn's lore, and they've been, you know, they're too aware of what happened back then, because all of it was public, all of it was vlogged, all of it was uploaded, and then it was live streamed on different platforms. And so we know, Becky, the problem is that you are going online and you are telling the same goddamn stories over and over and over and over again. And eventually people are going to be like, what is this? You know, like the reaction that she did to Karina today was a complete and utter joke. Most of it was just listening to Karina babble on and not saying a word. Nobody is going to stick around for that shit. All right. I am going to play Vosch now because I thought that this was hilarious. Our favorite lover of horse appendages is back, and he is very upsetty spaghetti. So let's go ahead and hear what he had to say.
Trump signs executive order aimed at curtailing gender transitions for kids. There it is. Can't believe it took him over a week to get to it. Trump signs executive order aimed at curtailing gender transitions for everyone under age 19. Not 18?
Now, I do wonder why the age 19 was chosen and not 18. I thought that was peculiar, and I'm not sure why that happened, but whatever.
Okay. Section 1, policy and purpose calls transgender care maiming. and states that children will, quote, soon regret being trans. Detransition is, this is Aaron speaking. Detransition is rare, 1 to 4% in most studies, and regret even lower.
That's not true. That is not true. That is based on flawed polls that have been taken. There are no actual studies that confirm the rate of happiness, obviously, because this is a very, this large number of young people going through these procedures is a very new phenomenon. There haven't been long-term studies conducted. We don't know the truth. We don't know how many kids become even worse after going through the medication, the medicalizing, and then the surgery. So this is a faulty statistic, and it's one that people love to throw around, but it's very, very misleading.
It intends to use withholding of funds and interpretation of laws to target trans youth nationwide. Section 2, definition includes people who are legal adults, 18 years of age, sets the attempts at a ban at those under the age of 19. It also says the federal government will call gender-affirming care chemical and surgical mutilation.
Where's the lie, though? Where is the lie? That's exactly what it is. Sorry if the truth hurts, but that's exactly what it is.
Section 3, this section rescinds policies that rely on WPATH guidance. This section has no age limit, so this could apply to adults and have a big impact on adult care nationwide. It also tells the HHS secretary to publish a junk science review that will call trans people, quote, identity confused.
Oh, so that's a junk science review. I see.
So a lot of them think they're cats and dogs, you know? Can't fault them on that analysis. Section 4. This section tells every agency that provides research grants, including to med schools, that it will no longer be able to receive federal funds if it provides trans youth care. Typically, you would need Congress to do this. This would end most trans youth care done at top-tier hospitals. Yeah, that sounds about right. This will fuck over international trans care. Oh, well, you can always go to Thailand, I suppose. Is this making my eggs cheaper? Section 5. This section tells...
You know, I really hate the way they're slipping that in. You do realize that the federal government is quite large and that it is possible to deal with eggs in one department and that it is possible to deal with this in another department. You do realize that. I guess not. Maybe eggs won't be cheaper once those tariffs kick in. Why don't we wait and see?
Health and Human Services to take regulatory actions, which could include, Medicaid blocking, clinical abuse laws, drug use reviews, quality, safety, and oversight powers, essential health benefits requirements.
Yeah, and I love something, you pointed something out. Who was it? Shut the fuck up about eggs. You know, we're talking about kids being given permanent life-altering drugs and undergoing medical procedures that are not necessary. That they can definitely wait until they are older to go through. We are allowing children to have autonomy over their own bodies in a way that we don't agree to in any other context. We don't allow them to buy cigarettes. We don't allow them to have tattoos. We don't allow so many other things. You can't drive a car before you're a certain age. There is no reason why an 11 or 12-year-old should be medicated and be made permanently sterile in many cases. Or what are the long-term effects of these puberty blockers? Osteoporosis, so many other long-term effects. And you are turning very young kids into permanent patients, long-term permanent patients. But by all means, go ahead and throw in eggs because that matters as much as permanently disabling gay and autistic kids in many cases.
I.e. removing them. And now I'm waiting on her to post the next screenshot here. White House dropped the EO. I'll keep following through it with Erin Reed. You know, I like her more than I like the current White House administration. This is one of the issues where Dems are actually a lot better than Republicans. Yes, but don't forget that Democrats in an, either ill-fated or malicious attempt to win over Trump disliking Republicans basically stopped talking about trans people throughout the Biden administration. Spineless motherfucker. But yes, they are obviously better than Republicans on this issue. Wait, did Snap get frozen?
No, I think that everybody took a look at those election results. They saw the impact that Charlemagne the God ad made, and they're like, you know what? Fuck it. Now it's safe to come out, and this crap is utter madness, and this is not going to go down well in history. So I think that we better get on the public side instead of just representing our own, or instead of just leaning into the fear that a bunch of Twitter weirdos are going to come after us when we're dealing with permanently altering the bodies of underage kids who are not old enough to be making these types of decisions for themselves.
Man is on 7 crises behind. White House confirms Medicaid is down. I thought it came back up. Whatever, one thing at a time. Too many crises. That's kind of the point. Section 6, this section says that TRICARE will no longer cover gender-affirming care for youth. I believe this was already the case from the recent law passed through the NDAA. Gotcha. Okay, I'm not that patient a man. I do have the publication here.
Okay.
Section 7, requirements for insurance carriers. The director of the Office of Personal Management, as appropriate and consistent with applicable law, shall include provisions in the FEHB and Postal Service health benefits that specify electrical care as well, exclude coverage for pediatric transgender surgeries or hormone treatments, and negotiate to obtain appropriate corresponding reductions in FEHB and PSHB premiums.
Pediatric transgender surgeries should never have happened. Never have happened. The fact that pediatric transgender surgeries took place at all is a disgrace, an absolute goddamn disgrace. Trying to turn puberty into an illness that needs to be medicated and for the body to be altered is literally, it is the biggest medical scandal of my lifetime. Nothing else even comes close. We should erase, in my opinion, the term pediatric transgender surgeries out of the lexicon. No.
Okay, so just going after these like specific types of government insurance to make sure they don't cover pediatric trans care as well. Section 8, directives to the DOJ. Ooh, here's the spicy part. The Attorney General, that's Pam Bondi, or will be, shall, she got through, right? She Attorney General yet? They approved her, right? No, they haven't. She's still the nominee. Okay, they'll get her in. Review DOJ enforcement of Section 116, Title 18, U.S. Code, and prioritize enforcement of protection against female genital mutilation. Convene states...
Now, this intrigued me. Prioritize enforcement of protections against female genital mutilation. I wonder if that is the FGM, you know, the cultural practice of FGM, if that is applicable, if that's what this executive order is referring to, I can scarcely believe my eyes that FGM was finally addressed in such a forceful way, because it's about goddamn time. There have been laws that have been passed. They're not being enforced. I think that they arrested like one random doctor in Michigan somewhere. But that is not at all adequate. So if there is a specific clause in there related to that form of FGM, I could not be happier. It's about time.
Attorneys General and other law enforcement officers to coordinate the enforcement of laws against female genital mutilation across all American states and territories.
Good.
Prioritize investigations and take appropriate action to end deception of consumers, fraud, and violation of the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act by any entity that may be misleading the public about long-term side effects of chemical and surgical mutilation.
And that is very, very good news as well. That is very good news as well, because as we all know, there have been so many lies that have been told about the long-term effects of puberty blockers on young people. And so, thank God, too many parents were going into these clinics, they were meeting with these doctors, and the doctors are like, oh no, all it is a pause on puberty. It gives kids time to wait and decide for themselves what direction they want to go in. Very, very misleading about the long-term effects. Again, there have not been enough studies that have been conducted on a large enough group of people. And again, the phenomenon is so new that we're still at a point now where we don't know what the long-term effects will be on medicating and mutilating so many young people. And I suspect that the end result will be absolutely devastating.
In consultation with the Congress, work to draft, propose, and promote legislation to enact the private right of action for children and the parents of children whose healthy body parts have been damaged by medical professionals practicing chemical and surgical mutilation, which should include a lengthy statute of limitations.
And this also made me want to stand up and say hallelujah. A lengthy statute of limitations, meaning that if you are a kid and you get the surgery and 20 years from now you want to go back and sue the doctor, then you can do that. And that is fantastic, because sometimes it takes many years for people to say, what the fuck did I do to myself? You don't want a statute of limitations that's like 5 years. You make a decision when you're 12 years old. You wake up at 17 or 18 and say, I have made the biggest mistake of my life. Oh, look, the statute of limitations ran out. No. Lengthy statute of limitation, that is also music to my ears.
And prioritize investigations and take appropriate action to end child abusive practices by so-called sanctuary states that facilitate stripping of custody from their parents who support the healthy development of their own children, including by considering the application of the Parental Kidnapping Prevention Act and recognize constitutional rights. Okay.
And that is also very good news, because we have seen too many incidents of parents who are losing custody of their children because the kid will say, I want to go through this procedure, and the parents say, absolutely not. And CPS comes and snatches the kid away. The government comes and takes a child out of a home because the parents are exercising their parental authority over a child and saying, hell no, we're not going to medicate you. We're not going to allow you to go through all this mess. Absolutely not. And the parents lose custody of the child. Or in the event that there's a divorce and one parent wants to go forward with the procedure and the other parent says no, that's a whole other mess. And we've seen cases like that too.
So this means that the DOJ is going to be taking effort to prosecute people who provide trans-affirming care for youth, is going to set aside policy and open up the doors for lawsuits against doctors who provide pediatric trans care on the grounds of surgical malpractice with an especially long statute of limitation.
Thank fucking God, because these butchers need to be shut down. They need to be shut down once and for all. Too many parents have thought that they were giving informed consent when they were actually not informed properly. The risks of the surgeries were downplayed. The risks of the puberty blockers were downplayed. The risk of cross-sex hormones was downplayed. So it's about time. And a lot of these professions, between doctors, therapists, psychiatrists, and so on, have been utterly captured. Again, it is time to right the goddamn ship.
And prevent trans youth from being given to one parent over the other in like child custody cases on the grounds that one of those parents is not affirming of their trans identity, but the other one is. So for example, if your parents are split and the court's deciding who to send you to, and one parent is saying, well, no, you're my kid and you're not trans, you're mentally ill, whatever, and the other parent's affirming, that can no longer be used as grounds to argue that you should be in the care of the person of the parent who affirms your identity. Right. Section 9, enforcing adequate progress. Within 60 days of the date of this order, the head of agencies with responsibilities under this order shall submit a single combined report to the Assistant to the President for Domestic Policy, detailing progress in implementing this order and a timeline for future action. The Assistant to the President for Domestic Policy shall regularly convene the heads of agencies with responsibilities under this order to coordinate and prepare for this submission. Okay, so they're just setting a timeline here. Section 10, severability. If any provision of this order, or the application of any provision to any person or circumstances, is held to be invalid, The remainder of this order and any application of it or its other provisions shall not be affected thereby. Oh, I like this one. This one's saying, hey, we're just throwing out a bunch of like EOs here. If the courts take down any part of this, that doesn't prevent the other parts of it from being enforced.
Well, that's a matter for the courts. That's just standard language that's put into these orders. It's also it's standard language that can be put into contracts. It is ultimately the decision of a court.
Like, actually, this is a multi-headed hydra, you know? You will need to challenge every individual section of this executive order in order to stop the whole thing. You can't freeze the whole thing. Section 11, General Provisions. A, nothing in this order shall be construed to impair or otherwise affect the authority granted by law to an executive department or agency or the head thereof, or the functions of the director of the Office of Management and Budget relating to budgetary, administrative, or legislative proposals. This order shall be implemented consistent with applicable law and subject to the availability of appropriations. This order is not intended to and does not create any right or benefit, substantive or procedural, enforceable at law or in equity by any party against the United States, its departments, agencies, entities, officers, blah, 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 blah. Okay. This is procedural stuff right here.
Right.
So, yeah, that pretty much describes the gist of it. Yeah. The last part is like standard legal boilerplate shit.
Exactly.
Does Trump write these himself? No. So this is only for female to male? No. Why would this only be trans women? Female to male is trans men. Nuts. So when are they getting rid of circumcision to be consistent? I wouldn't hold your breath. Yeah.
You know, it really chaps my ass to no end when these people try to bring up male circumcision and try to compare it to FGM or to what is happening to these kids. There is no comparison. There is no comparison. And this was a talking point that was picked up by the red pill crowd, you know, the manosphere guys. There is no comparison between the two. None. And to suggest that mutilating a child's sex organs to the point, or an adult's to that, for that matter, whether it's FGM or bottom surgery, where in order to create a phallus, you have to flay the skin off the arm or the thigh of a young woman, or turn a penis inside out in order to create a vagina. No, absolutely not. I'm sick of this talking point. It so diminishes the risks and the trauma that is caused by these types of procedures. It is absurd.
Oh, so that's pretty bad. That's about as bad as it gets, to be honest with you. This is going to be held up in court, but I don't know if it's going to make much of a difference because there's going to be a chilling effect on the implementation of this, of any pediatric trans care.
There shouldn't be any.
Because no doctor is going to want to open themselves up to getting sued. Like,
Good.
even if the executive order gets challenged in court, it doesn't change the fact that what doctor or hospital is going to open themselves up to the legal risk.
But I think that he's forgetting that it's not just an executive order. We've got a case that has been argued in front of the Supreme Court that the ACLU is going to lose. And I'm guessing that if they haven't filed a lawsuit based on this executive order yet, they're probably going to any minute. They're probably still licking their wounds over that shitty presentation they made in front of SCOTUS. But one way or another, you know, you can challenge whether the president has the authority to make these declarations. You can do all that crap, okay? But there's still the Supreme Court case that is going to set a precedent once it is decided. So
it's not just a matter of whether they'd be sued for the procedure. It's a matter of whether or not they're opening themselves up to a lawsuit for surgical malpractice years from now, potentially.
Exactly,
you know?
as well it should. And that's not
just for the youth either. A lot of this applies to everyone, all trans healthcare.
But why shouldn't doctors be held responsible? Why shouldn't doctors be held accountable and responsible if you undergo a surgery and they mutilate you beyond all recognition? Like Richie Herron, what happened to Richie Herron in the UK? A doctor needs to be sued. A doctor needs to be held accountable for destroying your genitalia. Absolutely. No question about it. I mean, this is a no-brainer.
Wait, would that be in the whole country? It is an executive order from the office of the president. You know, that's federal. Yeah. It's about the implications. It's not even about the implications. It's just like straightforwardly the effect of what this will do. Pretty, you know. Am I understanding correctly that even sanctuary states are here? Yeah, well, it would apply to them, you know, depending on how this all gets implemented. But yes.
Of course
I don't like
would.
this administration. Are the eggs cheap yet? Washington State will sue. Yeah, all the transgenders are here. It doesn't even matter if they sue, though. Like, the chilling effect, like, whether or not they sue, it doesn't change the fact that no doctor, no hospital is going to want to provide these procedures or guidance.
Good.
The president isn't allowed to create their own legislation without Congress. He doesn't need to. He's directing the attorney general to go after people who do this by redefining existing laws and threatening to withhold funding. It's not a matter of, like, again, it's unitary executive theory. The idea is that if you break everything the right way, the president gets to do everything he wants. Could states refuse to enforce the laws? Listen to what I'm saying. It's about federal funding,
federal funding.
Federal funding. Insurance follows federal guidelines in a lot of cases, and the attorney general redefining the interpretation of existing laws, going after hospitals and doctors that do this. You know, whatever happened to that anti-sodomy Texas AG? Still there. Ken Paxton, you mean? The president's not allowed to do this, needs to leave everyone's mouth real quick. Well, it is important to keep reminding people. I'm just saying that, like, this is being done in such a way as to avoid creating new laws. Because,
Correct.
Of course, the president is, at least nominally, not given the ability to make new laws. Pretty bad, guys. Pretty bad. This just happened. Do we have any news coverage of this, like in a video?
I mean, you know, there's a really, really interesting conversation to be had about separation of powers and whether or not this falls under his authority, because, I mean, we saw that horseshit executive order that he signed about birthright citizenship. He is not authorized to make that declaration as the president of the United States. He's not, okay? The birthright citizenship clause is enshrined in the 14th Amendment. In order to change it, they're going to have to amend the Constitution, and that is a whole process. That is that is Congress's bailiwick. It's not Trump's bailiwick. All right, which is why it was obvious from the minute he signed it that that was the first executive order that was going to get dragged into court, or it was going to be the top priority executive order. And the judges who have seen the way it's written have said, you must be fucking kidding. This is ridiculous. It's unconstitutional. I mean, could it happen? Sure. You know, is it possible that Congress could, you know, cobble together an amendment to the Constitution to overturn birthright citizenship? Yes, but it's not that simple. A new amendment to the Constitution has to go through all the state legislatures. Would it pass in all 50 states? I don't know. I don't think so. But, you know, stranger things have happened.
Level? Any at all? Even a teensy tiny bit? Oh, sorry, I forgot. I'm a public figure. I should be giving, like, advice. I should be saying stuff. Pretty bad, guys. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. We don't really know what holes are going to get carved out in this, like to what extent the judges are going to be able to push back against it, like what in practice is going to be possible. Listen, all I have to say is this. Literally all I have to say is this, okay? Never, ever, ever, ever look up or learn anything about DIY HRT. Just don't, never do it. You know, probably going to be in a fuzzy legal zone for a while.
Wow, what do you mean fuzzy legal zone? Oh, you mean this thing? Okay, no. There have been people like Keffels and others who have been pushing this DIY HRT thing. It is a horrible idea. Why the people who have been advocating for it have not all been arrested is, it's just baffling to me. I don't get it. Clearly, the law has not caught up with this mess. No, don't cook up bathtub hormones. That is absolutely insane. Absolutely fucking insane.
Oh, we don't know what they're going to do with that. Never do it. Could be terrible. I've heard terrible things, okay? Even though the state, sorry, not the state, the state, I suppose. Even though the state is doing what they can to make this impossible, they can't make it illegal for you to talk to your doctors or clinicians. I promise you that especially now, there will be people around who can provide guidance. Maybe they're medical experts. Maybe they work with NGOs, you know, maybe they're in advocacy groups, whatever, you know, local guidance will always be something you can seek out, right? We're not on Gestapo shit just yet.
Oh, for God's sake.
Also,
Okay.
you know what? Get into fashion. I'm not kidding. I genuinely, I'm going to lay this one down with a heavy hand, and I mean it, you know? See a lot of people in my community, a lot of people broadly. I see this as like a cultural thing. Most people dress like shit. You think you're transgender or whatever, and then you're still dressing like ass. You feel like shit. You don't know how to affirm your feelings of your identity through your clothing. They can't make that. Well, they can make that illegal, actually. They have made cross-dressing illegal, both historically and contemporarily. But you know what? Until they arrest you for it, you can try to learn to express yourself. Okay? And I don't just mean with a hoodie. Wear big pants.
Wear big pants. Okay, Vosch, thank you so much for that enlightening commentary. Nobody's going to stop you from dressing however you want. And I was under the impression that this wasn't just supposed to be a fashion statement or a trend. I thought that this was like some deep-seated belief. Nobody gives a shit, all right? Nobody cares. This is about pediatric surgery and medication. Again, the vast majority of the kids who are going to these clinics are very confused. A lot of them are on the autism spectrum. A lot of the girls are on the autism spectrum. Most of the kids who are clamoring for this treatment are homosexual. They are gay. There's a lot of internalized homophobia going on. There's a lot of homophobia, directed at them from the parents. What would you rather have? A dead son or a daughter who's alive? That kind of thing. The fear mongering, the suggestion that if you don't allow your child to undergo such extreme medical interventions, that the child will end up killing themselves. It's just grotesque. The whole thing is grotesque, based on very, very faulty evidence, based on faulty studies, we have studies that have been buried, and the very persuasive advice of doctors, very unethical doctors, in my opinion. So, it's just crazy. It's crazy. I know everybody's butthurt. We'll see what the courts have to say about this executive order. I have no idea. And I'm very much looking forward to see what the Supreme Court rules in that ACLU case. I am guessing that the ACLU is going to get their ass handed to them. And I don't know how they'll proceed, but it's really not my problem. I just don't care anymore. I haven't cared about the ACLU, Planned Parenthood, or any of those organizations for years, ever since they all jumped on this grotesque bandwagon. And I'm not saying the transgender people are grotesque. I'm talking specifically about the pediatric aspect of medicating and mutilating kids, because that, in my opinion, is exactly what this is. All right, you guys, I appreciate you. Thank you for your patience and not being too mad that I wasn't on camera today. I just wasn't in the mood. So I am going to get on with my day, and I will see you guys the next time. I appreciate you all. And again, I will see you the next time. Bye.